Basically, I got in the mood to record like a little video diary, or this is not even a video. Shit, I already fucked it up. Um, of me kind of recounting the history of my TF2 teams. I was trying to like it just kind of came to me in a moment of lucidity, so I'm trying to get it before I forget it because it was such a like formative part of my life since I played it for almost 7 years. So here goes. So started out, my friend Matt. I'm just gonna refer to my friends by their names. You'll have to keep the names straight, but basically, my friend Matt had been playing competitive Counter-Strike, and that was super interesting to me when I found out. And I was like, oh, competitive video games. You know, this was me at like age 13 or 14 becoming aware of the idea of competitive video games. So then it was roughly around the time that I bought the orange box because my friend BJ said, hey, buy the orange box. Since you're going to buy Portal anyway, go ahead and get the orange box, and then you'll have that and Half-Life and all the Half-Life 2 stuff and tf2. So I did that and, played Portal and Half-Life 2 and all that shit. But Matt was playing Counter-Strike, and that got me thinking, a competitive video game. And I played around in TF2 for a little bit, so I thought maybe competitive TF2 exists. Lo and behold, in the year 2009, there was a competitive TF2 scene. I was like, fuck yeah, I want to start a team and play TF2. Woo! It'd be so much fun. And I did that. So I got some of my friends on board. It was kind of complicated because, it's kind of hard to get like a bunch of like 14-year-old boys in middle school to like fucking show up on a schedule, but we made it work somehow. So my first TF2 team, essentially, it was kind of like it was hard to get to that point, but my goal, because the only league that I knew anything about was TWL at the time, because that's where my friend played. So I just basically went to the TWL website because he told me where to find it. And I went there and I went to TF2 and I was like, oh, okay, cool. And I saw that they had ladders for 5v5, 7v7, and 9v9 Highlander. So I thought 5 is the easiest number to put together because it's the smallest team. It's fast attack, so it's interesting. It's 5v5 teams and the matches, no class limits and instant respawn, which to most people I explained that to at later times sounded like crazy talk, but hey, it was fun, whatever. Had an ant on me, had to get it off. Moving along, basically, I got real life players together to play that included myself, my friend Blake, BJ, Josh, and Matt, who was on Counter-Strike, but he was basically strictly a backup at the beginning because he was he was heavily involved in his Counter-Strike team, so he had to prioritize them. So he was basically a backup. So it was me, Blake, BJ, and Josh. BJ was a little difficult to kind of keep on board because he kind of had what he described as a moral opposition to competitive video games in general, but we convinced him to play. I think Matt later did come on as a main or something akin to that, but we had those guys together. And I can't remember. I think we played a few games on the 5v5 ladder strictly with just real life friends. I think we did that. So I think it was me, Matt, Blake, BJ, and Josh. I think the 5 of us played some matches together as a team on the 5v5 ladder. We didn't win. The team we played against, they were pretty good. So good, just comparatively. I mean, there wasn't a whole lot of strategy. They just basically were out DMing us. But we played 2 games, I remember. And I'm trying to fit the timeline together, but I don't fully remember it. So I know that ultimately, during some sort of gap, we stopped, and we eventually made a transition into 6s. I did actually play 6s a little bit with some of my real life friends at the time, but we needed another player, and we didn't have one. And that was, we were kind of like at a loss on how to actually accomplish that. I didn't know about the Gottfrag forums at the time, but which was the main recruitment tool at the time. There was a forum board within the Gottfrag tf2 section. Let me make sure this is still recording. It looks like it is. La 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 la. Yeah, it is. Okay. But I know me and the guys were playing, basically DMing each other on a Viaduct server one time. It was a public server and it just had no players on it. Uh, we were just kind of shooting each other, just shooting the shit, talking and whatnot. And a guy joins named Napkin, and he starts, we start kind of playing against him and whatnot. But he is far better than us on Scout. I mean, no matter what we played, he would just annihilate us with Scout. And I mean, he was pretty good. Like even later on, even when we started getting kind of like as a decent like kind of Civo A team, he was still pretty good on Scout. So like we had gotten creamed, and we thought like we were 14 at times. So we were just like, oh my gosh, is he hacking? How is he hitting us for this much damage? You know, like, and they're just basic Scout meat shots. So we kind of dilly-dally around with that for a little bit, like having some of us go spectator and watch him as one of us tries to fight him, and like, you know, basically we can't like really see any like hackery signs, and we just like say, wow, he's really damn good. Um, we just straight up asked him in the chat on that server if he'd like to join Mumble with us, or we may have even been using Ventrilo at the time. That's disgusting to think about, but it may have been that way, or I think we may have already gone to Mumble. I can't remember exactly, but we just asked him if he wanted to join a server with a voice server with us, and he did. And we asked him if he wanted to play on a team with us, and wow, it took like no convincing. He basically said, "Yeah, I'll do it." So there we had a new guy. I don't think we actually played sixes yet, right when we found him. I think we ultimately, I think we originally brought him on to play fives, but I can't fully remember that part. But basically, I know that we played a little bit with him. I remember the names of the two players that came after him as well that we had found. One was a guy named Heretic, and the I was spelled with a 1, so it was Heretic with a 1. Um, Again, a guy we basically found in a server. He was playing Soldier. I think that was it. I think we had a problem with classes, and maybe we needed another Soldier, another guy who was good at Soldier. Because I know that Josh played Scout. What did Blake play? I don't even know. I was Medic. Like I've basically been a medic since day one, and I've been a medic since day one until I basically went up to like playing Highlander in like 2014 or something, 2015 maybe. Um, so we picked up Heretic, who was a little bit of an odd guy. I remember. I don't think we ever actually were able to talk in voice chat with him, or maybe we did. I don't remember. We picked him up, and I don't know what happened with him, but I think he ended up being kind of unreliable or something. Or maybe we never even played with him at all, but I feel like he was definitely on the roster. Um, oh, you know what? Hmm. I think we played our first UGC match together. So like we did ultimately transition into sixes with this team, with me and my real life friends and Napkin and Heretic. And I think we played our first UGC match with that roster. We played against against a team called Mystery Machine, which was a guy named Olmec was the leader, and Ryu was there, and they all had these squid avatars that were really weird. Um, I cannot remember when Rev comes in, but I'm getting to that. Um, but we played against them, and we got rolled basically, and I remember it being kind of demoralizing. You know, we'd practiced so much and we thought we were really ready, but I don't think we really even scrimmed. I think we just like did our like, you know, I have no idea what kind of things we did. But that's what happened. We got rolled by this team. I remember there being a demoralizing phase after that, but I think I know where we found Rev. So Rev was the next guy that was not in our immediate circle of friends that we recruited onto the team. And I remember we recruited him for Demo Man because we needed a Demo Man that we did not have. Uh, so he may have been there for sixes, and he may have been there for that match, but we found him on the TWL recruitment forums. Because keep in mind, still don't know what Gottfrag is at this time. So we got Rev. He mentioned he was a demo looking to play either fives or sixes. I don't know. So I messaged him. He was interested. We tried him out. We liked him. Asked him to join the team. He joined the team. There we go. We got another dude. I'm pretty sure we continued to play fives a little bit. I think we may have even played against GGG a little bit, Gravity Gun Grenadiers. So you may know of a player named Bolt, who was a demo man in Open, and maybe I am. I didn't follow him too closely after that, but he originated from TWL as well, back around the same time. So I just remember him because I remember him being fucking good at demo man. So I'm gonna kind of move it along. We played fives and sixes a little bit. Ultimately, this whole thing kind of fell apart, and I was kind of left alone. My real life friends didn't want to do it anymore. Um, you know, Napkin and Rev kind of moved on, and um, so I started looking around, and this is about where I found Gottfrag. So I found Gottfrag, and I was like, I had found out about it somehow, and found out this was the place to like go and try to find a team. You know, either post to say you're looking, or you're looking for a team or looking for a player. So I went on there, made a post, you know, explaining that I was a medic. I didn't have a lot of experience because back then it was like you kind of had to post your like seasons played and shit like that. And I didn't have any. I played like TWL fives and I played like one match in UGC. Whatever was the like, I think this is before UGC even had separate leagues. I don't think there definitely was not, you know, like gold, silver, uh, iron, steel, that stuff. That did not exist. Um, it was definitely before UGC had any splits. So it was just the league, the sixes league, with just the teams. There was no open, there was no low and high level. It was just UGC. So we played a little bit of that, um, and I mentioned that, but I basically got laughed at, made fun of, because you know, I didn't have any experience, and my name at the time, I didn't have like an alias picked out. I was still using my Steam username, which was PolarFox7, which is a dumb name, but I was like 14, you know, so it's whatever. Like that name originated from my RuneScape account, so which I started when I was 12. So that was kind of demoralizing, but I later got messaged. Like, I don't remember if it was a week or two or whatever, but I got messaged by a guy named Nam, who asked me if I wanted to join like a chill scrim pug group to kind of gain experience. And I was like, that sounds perfect. That could not be more perfect for me. So I started playing with them a little bit. You know, I got into the Mumble, got introduced to Nam, who you would know. Hang on, I'm gonna wait for this fucking motorcycle to pass because it's gonna be loud as shit. It actually wasn't. He was being considerate. That's cool. Checking, see if it's still recording. So yeah, Nam who later would change his name to Tang, and who played an Invite, which was pretty cool. And also another thing that happened with him that I'm not going to talk about here, as well as two guys who were real life friends with each other, named Zacky and Flyboy. Zacky spelled Czaaky. But those two guys and Nam and a few others that I can't remember exactly, those are the only ones that ended up kind of mattering, I think. So we played together for a little bit, and started getting, pretty okay. We got to the point where we could actually we understood like the meta game of playing competitive sixes tf2, and then like could actually scrim against other low level teams who also understood the basic rules for how to play, the basic guidelines. So we got to that point, and then I started wanting more. I wanted to play competitive TF2. I wanted to get good at the game, and some of the others on the scrim team did as well. So I brought up the idea, if some of us wanted to form like an actual real team to go play in league with, because prior to that, the team was intended to be an informal, like, pickup game scrim group. So basically it would be like, hey, who's online? You want to scrim? Okay, let's go on IRC, find a scrim. So we would do that, but we wanted to play more, so we did that. And I remember Beaver was there too. He was definitely on the first iteration of this team that would become the scrim team, became known as Plutonium. Zacky, I think, came up with the name, and I said, hey, that's cool, whatever. Our tag was .239 because as the atomic number, it was super nerdy. But basically, Zacky and Flyboy were not interested in being on a team with us. So basically, they kind of like, I think they actually said like, we're gonna stop the group, or we're gonna disband or something. And I was like, no, don't do that. Play with us. And they didn't. So, but me and Nam and Beaver, the three of us, we ended up building a team. And at this point, this is where it gets fuzzy. I really don't remember all the names that rolled through our roster at the time, but the team that we formed ended up becoming Engaged Gamers. And that sounds like we're engaged in a marriage sense, but that wasn't what I was going for when I created that name, because I named that team. I actually do remember several of the important players. So I brought Napkin back for this. He, I don't think, played on Plutonium regularly, but I got him interested to join EN. So that's how people would call us, because they didn't know what our tag meant or what it. So they would call us the N dot team. That was our tag, is EN dot, then the name. I got Napkin back along with Beaver, Nam, and myself, so that's 4. And I know we picked up a guy named Chud as well, who is from Trinidad. He's pretty cool. And I know we had a 6th. Like, if I went through my like old groups and stuff on Steam, I could probably figure it out, but that's not so much important. I'm trying to just more or less build the timeline, not mention every single person who was there along the way. So yeah, we built the team and we scrimmed a whole lot, and ultimately joined UGC and TWL, I think, and did that for a while. And I think we did ultimately try to join SIVO. This point, the specifics of that are kind of fuzzy, but I know Engaged went on for a while, and then it ultimately broke up. I think we definitely brought Bolt in for some of that as well. And like, shit, who else did we bring in? Like, we rolled a lot of people through there. I think that team was together for a pretty good while. I feel like I definitely played in Sivo. Like, I remember like one of the very last things that happened, which is like I remember us being in a match on Freight or something, and like Beaver was naturally kind of a troll. He would like get us in trouble because he'd be like wearing the tag, which was amazing that I was able to convince people to wear the tag because tags eventually went out of style basically. But back then it was cool to wear the team tag, so people did it. And you know, he was kind of getting us in trouble, and Bolt didn't like him. He was kind of trolling Bolt constantly, and Bolt got fucking pissed off and like raged off the team. And I can't say I blame him because Beaver was kind of a dummy. He was kind of he was just a huge troll. But I remember us being on Freight or something, and like I think we had to forfeit a game because of the fact that like Bolt left and just like went offline and like something like that. The team broke up after that. I think that was the end of Engaged. Um, so yeah. Um, and I'm not totally sure how much time went between basically when that team truly honestly disbanded and when the next thing started for me, because the next thing was that I had found out about Apocalypse Gaming. And this is, yes, I know that Apocalypse Gaming was like the invite team of the time, but it was also like supposed to be a full-fledged gaming community. So it was a sponsor, like, you know, when AG went to LAN, the community fronted the money for them to go. It wasn't like a corporate sponsorship kind of thing where like a gaming clan like ProCal or Check Six or uh, EMG or Immortal 7 or one of those like tf2 clans of the day that would like sponsor teams and like give them jerseys, and like they would basically get their money through ads and shit. Like Apocalypse Gaming was just a donation thing. Like they had some corporate sponsorship through a server company called EO Reality. Um, but yeah, so I eventually joined that as a community member because at that time I didn't really have a whole lot of experience to join a team with, but I also really liked the idea of helping to facilitate the community's existence and that sort of thing. I did like some ComFT mentoring for a little community fortress. I like went on as a mentor to mentor some, like, you know, I said I could teach you the basics and stuff. I'm not a high level player, but that sort of thing. So I did some of that. I joined into the Apocalypse Gaming community, and it was there that I met a guy named Captain Scorch. And that guy had a team, I think, or was trying to build a team. Funny thing about that, the team that he built had a guy named Jayz on it, Jayz. It's not pronounced Jay-Z, it's pronounced Jayz. That guy was like the founder of EMG, or he was like top. He was like like a manager or something. He became like the manager and top guy for EMG, but he was just on this random team with Captain Scorch, and that was like the first thing he was on. And I started out as like a mentoring position. Like I basically, you know, he asked me if I would like watch them play or something and give some feedback, and I did that. They were playing in UGC at the time. I remember another guy named Fate who was on that team as well, and some other guys. I can't remember all their names, but it kind of devolved into me ending up like playing for them a whole lot, and that kind of ended up being like my second team. You know, I played medic for them because I think something happened, they didn't have a medic or something. So that happened. Apocalypse Gaming went on for a while, but I don't remember exactly all the details of that. That's the fuzziest part of my memory. I do remember what came after that. Somewhere, somehow, probably from my Engage... I remember now exactly. It was from my time in Engage Gaming, because I know we scrimmed against Ace a lot. Ace, who some people who have been in it for a long time, they'll remember a guy named Ducky, and not the invite Ducky, but the Ace Ducky, who, man, people gave him a whole lot of shit, but he was actually a pretty nice guy. He was just a little bit of an oddball, but he was nice. He was a super cool guy. You know, he fucking paid out of his pocket for every, like, a server for us, and like for web hosting and shit. Like, he just did that for us. And man, you know, looking back, the thing that I'm going to come up to soon in my story is going to make me look like a huge asshole. And it was an asshole thing that I did. But he approached me and wanted me to join a team as a medic that he basically manufactured. It wasn't a team that he himself was going to play on, but he basically wanted to build a team with sort of the promise of, like, I'll give you a server and everything, but I want you guys to be Ace Team 2, like the Team B for Ace, which he was trying to build, like, basically a sponsorship. So we did that. I joined on a team. Oh shit, where did Mr. Meaner and Remix come into this picture? Because I know I talked to them before now. Remix, who later would become D-Flame, and a guy named Mr. Meaner. The two of them are real-life friends as well. Both of them pretty cool guys. D-Flame was a little bit of a troll in some instances, but he was actually a pretty nice guy. Really wanted to meet them in person. But I definitely ran into them. I think they may have been on Engaged. Yes, they were. They were absolutely on Engaged Gaming. So there's some more of the missing players I had forgotten about. But Mr. Meaner ended up on that team through an unrelated incident, like not through me. But Ducky, and then a guy named Scar, who would later become Jake Rockwell, as well as a guy named Buddy, and I can't remember all these names, but I was brought on as the medic and asked to be the team captain for the team, which was kind of interesting because it's like, why would someone be invited to be the captain? Why wouldn't a founder or someone who'd been in the game longer be the team captain? But whatever. Basically, it just meant I had to deal with all the scheduling bullshit, so I did that. I kind of ended up being in the captain role for basically every team that I've been on. So it was a really big relief when I finally didn't have to do that again, but which didn't come till later. So this team started out as Ace 2, Ace number 2. And boy howdy, this one ended up being a ride. We actually went to ESCA with this team, so that was pretty cool. And I can't remember all the many matches and games and stuff that we played, but let me make sure it's still recording. La, la, la. Okay, there we go. Oh my god, this is going on for like 30 minutes. So we went to Ace team number 2, and we scrimmed a lot, played a lot. I think we played in like all 3 leagues. We probably played in like UGC. We probably played not UGC. I think we maybe have played. I know we played in CEVO and ESCA for sure. CEVO A and ESCA Open for tf2. I do not remember what season this is. I could probably go back and find it in my ESCA profile history. Anyway, this team changed names quite a few times because later on, like, it was so hard for people to take us seriously because the Ace name and their tag was so horrendously tarnished by the community's despise of Ducky that, like, they associated us with them even though we didn't really even talk to them. We just basically had the tag because that's what they asked us to do in exchange for the free server and the free mumble and everything. So we did that. But goddamn, we would get trolled so fucking hard, and we couldn't have us. We had so few people that we could scrim seriously because they would just not take us seriously. They would just fucking dick around with us and then, like, leave the server halfway through. And we actually had this problem so much that ultimately, as team captain, I said, this is bullshit. I can't deal with this. And I basically told Ducky we were severing ourselves from Ace, so we were going to continue to be our own team. I have no idea what we named our team out of the gate. I feel like it incorporated... I think that's... Shit, I think I just gave myself the hint. I think it was called Rockwell Incorporated or something like that. Because Scar changed his name to Jake Rockwell. I have no idea what that references or anything. So we did that. We later sought sponsorship from a number of people, and damn, that fucking whole mess sucked ass, because it involved me talking to these people from games like Battlefield and Counter-Strike and shit, trying to convince them to give us a free server and shit because we didn't have our own. I was still in high school at the time, and most of us were, or all of us were. So like we didn't have money. I didn't have money to go. I didn't have a card or a bank account and shit to go pay for a server. So like at that point in time, that was just like not possible to do. So I was looking around for sponsors and shit, and we played. Eventually found a group, a clan basically called Pulverize, Team Pulverize, and they were the ones that gave us a free server and a TeamSpeak server. So we used the TeamSpeak server for scrims every day. We had a free server. We weren't going to complain about it, but goddamn, if we ever had a ringer, holy shit, they fucking like would not shut up about it, because most of the people we'd ever want to ring like wouldn't fucking have TeamSpeak installed, so they'd have to either install it or we'd have to like hop in another mumble for a short amount of time. And we did some of both. But we played as Team Pulverize a little bit. We later actually got sponsored by Just for Fame, which was kind of a well-known name at the time. Like there was another team previous to us that had carried that name, that sponsorship, Just for Fame. Just for Fame is a clan, or like not a clan, but like a sponsor, like a gaming organization of sorts. So like another team could have been Just for Fame tf2 in the past. I'm just saying that in case someone that's not privy to this knowledge like listens to this recording. But basically, so that kind of got us a little bit of recognition, because they thought, oh, wait, Just for Fame, kind of like, I think it was like Remix, like the two threes remix that makes the weird videos on YouTube, and Basic, who later became like super good invite level. And they're dudes. I think they were previously Just for Fame at one time. It was either them or some other good players. But we played in ESCA under that name, Just for Fame. We played under some of it with whatever name, like Rockwell Incorporated or whatever, and some of it as Just for Fame. We played through ESCA. I don't remember what happened, but the team eventually broke up. I think Scar got kind of a big head. Jake Rockwell got kind of a big head and like left to go join another team after a season ended, and then the team broke up because of that. And that's what happened. Just for Fame, rip. There it goes. Oh boy, what happened after that? As long as I'm not forgetting anything, I went teamless for a little while, and eventually kind of went back into like, okay, I'll do more like community organization stuff. So I worked with I got involved with a project named PubComp, which was like a like a project to create like a lobby system on tf2, kind of like tf2 lobby, but better. Like tf2 lobby existed for some of this, but a guy wanted to create a PubComp project that was like something else. I don't remember exactly what it was. So I was given a task, and basically my task was essentially like dealing with attrition from other members of the group. So I was tasked with like going down a list of people that said they were interested in helping out with PubComp, and looking at their, I had like a list, like a spreadsheet of people that I would talk to. And I had to message them. Some of them were online, offline. Some of them would message me back. Some of them wouldn't. Not too far down the list one day, and this was about the time, I remember exactly the moment when I came across it, but eventually I found a guy named Raze who had a Fluttershy avatar. I.e., or little FYI, I was kind of a brony at this time. Sort of. I mean, like, I knew what it was and I watched the show and it was whatever. Like, I wasn't, like, wanking to horses or something like that. So, but then again, I'm not here to defend my bronyism. So, found Raze, who had a Fluttershy avatar, and me and him kind of got talking about that issue. Like, he actually responded to me when I messaged him. So I messaged him, talked about PubComp and that sort of thing. And but we got to talking because I said I like your Fluttershy avatar or something like that, because I think I also had a Fluttershy avatar at the time. But we got to talking, and I got invited into their mumble somehow. And at the time, they had a sixes team. They were, at the time, they were Sunday Funday at the time, but this was the very beginning of Sunday Funday. It was basically a team made up of community members from a server called the Rabbit Hole, who were a bunch of really cool guys, loved hanging out with them. But eventually, their medic, oh, you see where this is going, their medic didn't want to play anymore. And around that time, I had mentioned that I had some experience. They were all still relatively new at the time, but I had some playing experience. Here's the cool thing about that. The height of Sunday Funday still consisted mainly of the same body of players as this very beginning stage, which was me, Fievel, Rays, and the Burrito Man. Dr. Ice eventually fell off of the wagon. Oh my fucking... No, I didn't forget. Burrito Man. Yeah, he was the roamer. I thought for a second I'd forgotten someone. You had Fievel and Rays. They were the scouts. Who was the demo man? Oh shit, who was our demo man starting out? I don't remember. I feel so awful about not remembering that. I know ultimately we brought on Tree, and he kind of became the well-known demo man for Sunday Funday. He originally played for he played medic originally for a team called Princeton Medical. Was that it? And some of their guys went on to kind of do other things as well, but we brought on them. But anyway, back at the beginning of Sunday Funday. So I had gotten invited into Mumble after talking to Rays about pub comp, and we kind of had a little chat because we both had the Fluttershy avatar in common. I watched them play for a while just because it was fun. I didn't really care if I was playing or not. I was fine, like, kind of just watching and ringing whenever need be. So I rang a little bit for them too. Ultimately, Mayor McCheese left the team. And Rays was, I was like, I don't mind ringing until you find a new medic. And Rays was like, come on, I think that we pretty much already know who the new medic's gonna be, like in his classic Ray's voice. God damn it, I love that guy. I don't think I've ever felt more unrequited bromance for a single person in my life. Anyway, so I got on Sunday Funday, and we're getting into the later half of tf2 years for me now. So Sunday Funday lasted for a good long while, and we played in ESEA Open for more than one season, and a season of IM as well. This was the highest level that I'd ever been in TF2, was that one season of IM. We eventually, our original pocket soldier with the team was a guy named Dr. Ice. He wasn't interested in playing anymore, mainly because the competitive thing wasn't his thing, and that's cool. That's just, you can't hold that against him. So, but ever since that moment, holding on to a pocket soldier became the one thing that just could not seal the deal with our team. So we had a number of guys. Like we had Disengage was there for a while. I remember Fan of Angels was there for a while. And I think we had more. We had some other guys as well that would hop in. We did tryouts and stuff and that sort of thing. Goddamn, through that team, Rays went from high school to college. Burrito Man got married. Like, I never had a group, up to this point, I never had a group that I was that close with in TF2. Now, in the later bit of this recounting of my life, I'm gonna tell you about the most close relationships that I've ever had with TF2, which is at the time of this recording still going on, but not that we're playing TF2, but so Sunday Funday went on for a while. We had a long history. Ultimately, there came a time, and it was following our season in IM, where we kind of said, you know what, we're not really having any fun doing this. We kind of stagnated in skill level, and people weren't interested in playing anymore. And I cried. I was in Mumble with Rays, and I cried at him. Not at him, like I cried. just a little bit, because I was so sad that it was coming to an end, because it was such a happy part of my life. But we broke up, and we still hung out for a while. We still did like pugs and stuff. We just didn't do the competitive thing anymore. But, ultimately we grew apart, and I haven't really talked to them in a while, but I still have them on friends list. Played a little Overwatch with them for when that game came out. So you can tell we're getting into the more recent days now. But that's I think that's everything. I'm probably leaving something out, but well, no, that's not everything. I mean, there's more. That's up to like, if I'm thinking about like Jay and Jesus and Chris and Andy or someone listening to this, then we're at this point now where they meet me. It's following Sunday Funday's end. Because I know we met through kind of pugs and stuff, and they would invite me to come and ring for them. I think that's what happened. And then I played on Large Gamers for a little bit. So I guess I can go into this. I kind of want to wait and record this as a second bit after I can kind of confirm the part that starts here, because I don't want to leave any details out on this part, because what we're going to find out eventually in the next episode of me talking into a phone at nearly midnight on an empty road is that the Large Gamers crew ends up becoming the closest and most awesome online tf2 related relationship that I form with people, and that we end up going on adventures in real life and shit. And that's pretty cool. But that's coming up in the next recording. And I'll definitely coming back and amend this if I find out that I left something important out. Okay, bye. Dot, dot, dot. Sorry, testing to see if it's still recording.